Shalom. Giving all praise to Yahweh Hashem El Shai B'Hashem Rakakodah. Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. And I'm going to entitle this video, I asked the chat, is Arsareth in 2nd Esdras 13:45 talking about America? So the key point is down here. I mean, I can read all this other nonsense. Okay, what does it say? Blah, 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 blah. Through a narrow passage of the river, the Euphrates River, into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they have never kept in their own land. Let me come over here. The verse in question comes from a vision in which the lost 10 tribes of Israel are said to have traveled to a distant land. Let me read this again. Through a narrow passage of the Euphrates River into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. Further country, farther country, farther country. Feedback, further back, inside joke. This land is called Arsareth, which is Hebrew, by the way. That's in Deuteronomy chapter 29. The scriptures say we're going to go to another land. So this is the fulfillment of Deuteronomy 29. I may or may not go into it. If not, somebody put it up in the chat for people that don't know. What or where is Arsareth? The name Arsareth only appears here in all of ancient literature, making it a hapax legominion. I never heard this term before, so it's another learning every day. A term used only once in a text or corpus, meaning body of work, writings. You know what I might just go, you know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. It's obscure, but a few interpretations have been suggested. So let me look up this word. It gave me the definition, but I'm going to see what the Google has to say about this. Let me slide this over. Where you at? There we go. I was going through this. Famous jakes that go back to famous African American roots that go back to Africa. Cameroon, Blair Underwood, Chris Rock, Erykah Badu, Lenny Kravitz, Chris Tucker. You know, I know he's Cameroon. From Ghana, Forrest Whitaker, John Legend, Idris Elba, you know that actor, supposed to be the sexiest man in the world, from England. Gabon, this is Africa, Samuel Jackson. They made him a citizenship of this landmass. Ludacris, he's a Gabonese. Sounds Hebrew to me, Gabon. Oprah, she goes back to Cameroon. I remember when she was on African American Lives. They said a line go back. She said, I want to be a Mandinka. No, you can't. Your line goes back to Cameroon. Don Cheadle, he's from Liberia. Chris Brown, Chris Brown is a Hamite, dancer like that, singer like that. The singer's ancestry is linked to the Crew people of Nigeria. Angela Bassett, fine ass Angela Bassett. That's a fine woman. I always had a thing for Angela Bassett. She's Nigerian. You know, what's her name? What's her name? Anita Baker. She's Nigerian. It's hard to find. I found it once where they said Anita Baker's line go back to she's Nigerian. Malcolm X is from Senegal. His father's Senegalese. So, you know, you guys in ISUBK, you say, well, if you African, you Hamite. No. Yeah, Jakes is still. Remember, Jakes are scattered throughout the whole world, and it's still throughout the whole world. When I say world, I'm talking about the whole planet. TD Jakes, I know about that. He's Igbo. Nas, the rapper Nas. Everybody knows Nas. He's Nigerian. He would be Yoruba, as opposed to the Igbo. LeVar Burton, Nigerian. Meghan Markle, you know, the royal family, the Jake chick. Father was supposed to be Edomite, but he could be a Jake. Look, I think he's Irish descent, so she's a Jake. Israel, Isaiah Washington, remember him? They blacklisted him because he said something about some Edomite actor that he was a MO. So he blacklisted this guy, Michelle K. Williams. The late actor's roots were also linked to the Mandi people. Maya Angelou, she's also, her line goes back to Africa. Any of you guys in Israel that are Judah Benjamin Levi, do a DNA test, is going to take you right back to West Africa. Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, what's this place? Angola, South African, the Bantu people. South Africans are actually Bantu people that migrated down in the south part of Africa. Remember, the Africa only had the upper part of Africa. Anthony Anderson, Whoopi Goldberg, Tiffany Haddish, she's a Trian. Nipsey Hussle, he's a Trian. And they look like Ethiopian, but a Tree is part of Kush. So you had Israelites living among the Kushites. So you had W.E.B. Du Bois, Frederick Douglass. Anyway, what I say? What else? What was I gonna do? I wanted to look up that word. Let me do this. You had this, the guy, Steven Tyler. He was from the rock and roll group Aerostar. He did the song, the main theme song for the movie Armageddon. I Don't Want to Close My Eyes. He's Jake. Look just like a white boy. And his daughter, beautiful woman. She was in the movie too. She played the love interest to this guy, what's his name? Ben Affleck. I mistakenly say Ben Ashcrack, but it's Ben Affleck. They got married in the movie, and this guy, what's this guy? He's suffering from brain damage. Somebody help me out. But anyway, the girl, the pretty Edomite looking girl, she actual Jake. You got a lot of Edomites in the music industry and acting world that look just like straight up Edomites, but they Jake. Their fathers might be a straight up Negro from Detroit or something. So now let's do this. And Chris Rock looked like a damn spare trucking African. I'm just messing with him. You know, his wife, he knew about the Israelites because his wife, they legally got married. She used to go up to the school up at 1 West. Okay, so let's do this meaning in general. Hapax legomenon. Let me see if I can sound it out. I'll let you hear it.
Hapax legomenon.
Hapax. You gotta learn that word so I can use it on somebody. Yo, what did you just say, brother? What language are you speaking in? Let's hear that again.
Hapax legomenon.
Hapax legana. Hapax.
Hapax legomenon.
Hapax legomenon. A term of which only one instance of use is recorded. So when it goes, when you deal with the word Arsareth, it's only once in the scriptures. So that would be considered let it say it again.
Hapax legomenon.
A hapax legomenon. One day I'm gonna learn this and I'm gonna throw it on somebody. And see the look on their face. Let me listen to that one more time.
Hapax legomenon.
Hapax legomenon. Are you aware that the word Arsareth is a hapax legomenon? Are you aware of that, sir? Well, what does that mean? Well, I thought you knew everything. Anyway, so the word Arsareth. God damn. Let me come back over here. It is right here. Arsareth. And like I said, it means another land. Aratazar means land. Another land. And that other land, the fulfillment of Deuteronomy 29, I believe it's 29 if I'm not mistaken, is America. So now let's come back over here. Okay, what or where is Arsareth? Now it said that journey took 1.5 years, so we know it had to be on the other side. Definitely was on the other side of Earth. So where else can you go? If you're in the Middle East, if you're in the Levant, where else can you go but to the west? If you're in the East, you're going to the west. So that's where the Israelites wound up in. So this is the proof that the Israelites went from the Assyrian Empire, they were captive under the Assyrians, into what's called the Americas. You brothers that are veterans and even sisters know about this, but there's some of you new people out here. It says the name Arsareth only appears here in all of the ancient literature, making the hapax legomenon, making it a hapax legomenon, a term used only once in a text or corpus, body of work. It's obscure, but a few interpretations have been suggested, symbolic of mythical land. The passage is the passage, is apocalyptic. Apocalyptic is another way of saying revelation. Roman Catholic Bible. When you go to the book of Revelation, it's the book of the apocalypse. And symbol. So Arsareth might not correspond to any literal location. No, it is where'd you think they went the 10 tribes? Who do you think they went into outer space? They went into a black hole? No, they went to the other side of Earth on boats. In this view, it represents a new beginning or a purified land. Right, when they first got over there, that was a paradise. Esau turned it into the wilderness. Isaiah 14. Not a geographic place. It is a geographic place. Persian or Eastern territory. No, it don't take you. Let me say, some scholars think it refers to a region east of the Euphrates, possibly in Persia, Media, or the Caspian region. No, because it wouldn't take you a year and a half on boats to get there. It's talking about the Americas, Canada, U.S., which is now called the U.S., Central and South America. Them people that Columbus encountered were the Israelites. And they used to say when the Europeans started coming over here, and they encountered those peoples of the land, the original, the natives, right? What do you call it? There's another term for it. Indigenous people, those were Israelites. And when Christopher Columbus communicated with him, he had an interpreter, Del Torres, that spoke fluent Hebrew, so he was able to speak to them. They said this matches historical exile. This matches historical exile roots of the 10 tribes. So the 10 tribes are here in America. So when you read 2 Esdras 13 and 40, it's talking about America. That land is talking about America. It says where never mankind dwelt. Solomon had the Canaanites go over there and get resources from that land, but nobody lived there. It said the Americas, later interpretation during the colonial and early modern era, some people speculated Arsareth was in the New World, which is America, i.e. the Americas, especially due to the idea of it being a land where never mankind dwelt. That's that land, that large land, and I'll get that for you in a minute. Give me a second here. I'm going to put in the word baldness in the book of Isaiah. I believe it's 21, 22 maybe. Isaiah 20, I was right. Isaiah 22:18. He will surely violently turn and toss thee, the Israelites, like a ball. It represents ships, because the ball when you throw a ball in a river or a lake or body of water, it's going to float on the top because it has what's called buoyancy. Buoyancy is the thing that keeps things afloat. Ball into a large country. That large country is America. That country is 5,000 square. It's approximately 3,000 miles from the east to the west, and approximately 2,000 from the north to the south. That's 5,000 square miles. It says, there shall thou die, right? Sold into slavery, die, get sick, get put to death, and there the chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of thy Lord's house. Because ultimately, we're going to be saved by the UFOs. And when we were back in our power, we were carried, around on they had the slaves hold us up, and we rode in chariots, and we had some nice looking chariots, man. So to travel from one place to the other, in the bottom of a cargo slave ship for commodities. I mean, that's really bad. It says, and the chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of thy Lord's house. So it's a shame that we was put in that position. So Esau and the other nations have a lot to pay for. Let's come on back. The idea of it being a land where never mankind dwelt, and that's America. Matching how Europeans viewed the Americas inaccurately, of course. Efforts to link Native Americans with the lost tribes of Israel, especially among early European colonists. When these Europeans started coming from Britain and other parts of the world eventually, the evangelists and the scholars, they said these are the Israelites. They're the Israelites. Some Jewish thinkers, the small hats, and later fringe or religious groups, example given, British Israelism. I'm going to look that up. That's Europeans that say that the 12 tribes are actually all white people. Like they'll say the tribe of Manasseh are the people of Britain, which is BS. It says certain black Hebrew Israelite groups, mainly the former One Westers. Christopher Columbus even cited 2nd Esdras to justify his voyage. So guess what? He knew when he encountered the people of that land, he knew that they were the Israelites, especially when they started speaking Hebrew. Believing it predicted the discovery of new lands. Summary is Arsareth, the Americas. Claim, literal reference to the Americas. No evidence supports this in historical or linguistic context. Claim, later interpreters linking it to the Americas. Yes, especially post-Columbus and in some religious traditions, including the Hebrew Israelites. Scholarly view, symbolic or eastern location, not the Americas. No, but it was in the east. They went a few miles to the east. They was in the Middle East. They're not going to go to the far east. They went to the west. In conclusion, if you're curious about how specific groups interpret this, example given, black Hebrew Israelites or colonial era Christians, meaning when the Christians first came over here, they said these people, these Indians, they're the tribes of Israel. They're part of the 10 tribes, brother. That's the Northern Kingdom. I can dig deeper into those traditions. Let me do this. Have some fun with this. I want the Hebrew Israelite take on this subject Great. Let's dive into the Hebrew Israelite perspective on Arsareth in 2nd Esdras 13:45 and how it connects to their teachings about the Americas and the identity of the lost tribes of Israel. Hebrew Israelites and Arsareth, their interpretation, context, 2nd Esdras 13:40 to 45. This passage is crucial in many Hebrew Israelite teachings, especially those who identify as the descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. Here's a quick summary of what it says. The 10 tribes are separate from Judah and Benjamin and Levi. Levi stayed with them, were taken into captivity by the Assyrians. They decided to leave the land of their, you know what they were? You have traditional chattel slavery in America, where they had you kind of locked up, you couldn't get away. During the time of the Roman Empire, and even during the time of the Assyrians, you were pretty much tributaries to Assyria, meaning you wasn't living in Assyrians' people's houses, slave quarters. You was able to do what you wanted to do to a certain extent, but you had to tax them. Okay, so it was a different type of slavery. So they snuck out, you know. They said they decided to leave the land of their captivity and go to a far off land called called, which, well, the book calls it, it's a vision. Mosai gave him the vision that in the Hebrew, remember, Esdras spoke Hebrew, so in the Hebrew, the word translated into the term another land or another region where no man had dwelt before. To keep the laws of the Most High, they passed through the narrow passage of the Euphrates with divine guidance. Right, he held back the storms. Hebrew Israelite claim Arsareth equals the Americas, called belief. Many Hebrew Israelite camps teach that the Arsareth is the Americas, specifically North, Central, and South America, and the Caribbean Indians, the places where the descendant of the 10 tribes were eventually scattered and brought during the transatlantic slave trade. Here's how they support this idea. A land where never mankind dwelt, the New World, and that's definitely the New World. Columbus referred to it as the New World, as compared to the Old World, which is Europe. Hebrew Israelites argue this fits the Americas, and anybody with half a brain could see that. A continent unknown to the Old World and seen as uninhabited by biblical authors. While indigenous people were already here, the biblical view is interpreted through a spiritual lens that the land had not yet been inhabited by Israelites. Yeah, because they got here long before the devil got here. They got here circa, circa 726 BCE. Columbus got here, what was that, 7 AD, 1400 years later. So they've been here for over 1,000 years, making it new and prophetic terms. They passed through the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. Some interpret this literally as a miraculous journey across land and sea. Yeah, because it took a year and a half. It makes all the sense in the world that's the Americas. Because where did the Northern Kingdom go? And it says they're going to be gathered back together. This also proves Judah, because it said they're going Judah and the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of the Northern Kingdom going to get back together in this land, and then they shall come. Others see it symbolically referencing the Middle Passage during the transatlantic slave trade, which, right, that's when the kingdom of Judah came over here against their wills, which they believe fulfilled prophecy. The idea is that after the initial migration of Arsareth, later Israelite descendants, which was the kingdom of Judah, were forcibly taken back across the ocean into captivity. They came from West Africa, connecting the North American Indian, Latinos, and African Afro descendants. Many Hebrew Israelite groups teach that blacks in the Americas are the tribe of Judah. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, kingdom of Judah. Latinos and Native Americans are from the 10 northern tribes that went to Arsareth, the land they migrated to is the Western Hemisphere, i.e. the Americas. It makes all the sense in the world. This from the bias for the 12-tribe chart. There we go, the 12-tribe chart, and they don't mention GMS, used by One West style camps like IUIC, IUCBK, GOCC, etc. Oh, they don't like GMS. Yeah, don't mention GMS too much. How they justify it spiritually and prophetically, Second Esdras is viewed as divinely inspired prophecy, even though it's considered apocalyptic by most Christian denominations. They see history, prophecy, and scripture aligning Assyrian exile, migration to Arsareth, which is America, centuries later, scattered again, right? They were scattered among the Canada, America and so forth, South America. Slave trade, fulfillment of courses in Deuteronomy 28 and 29, because it mentions the word Arsareth in Deuteronomy 29. You got to go into the Hebrew. Another land. Some notable camps and teachers that promote this view: IUIC, Israel United in Christ, GOC, Gathering of Christ Church. They directly link Arsareth to the Americas in their videos and teachings. ISUPK, Sakari, HOI, and others also make the connection in their street teaching and literature. Like I said, they don't like us, man, but that's all right. I don't like y'all either. Hebrew Israelite take on Arsareth topic. Hebrew Israelite view. What is Arsareth? A prophetic name for the Americas. Who went there? The 10 lost tribes of Israel after Assyrian exile. Why did they go? To keep the Most High's laws in a land untouched by man. How does it connect today? They believe modern blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are their descendants. What fulfills this? Slave trade, colonization, and their awakening in the last days. And they know that we woke up. They know who we are. That's all I'm gonna go into. I went a little long. Anyway, shalom. On to the next.